without giving a policy, I'm giving an opinion about what some group of international diplomats should do with Gazans. The mostly innocent of murder, but not innocent of hatred, and almost incapable, it seems, of lessening it. A multi-generational buildup of hatred for almost everything Western, everything Israeli, and everything Jew. It's irreconcilable. And because this has gone on for so long, the mentality, I don't think, can be undone. So what do you do with a neighbor that wants to kill you? My proposal is what none of the other presidential candidates are talking about. They want military occupation by the United States. No. Some would like to see a close to wipeout. I mean, a lot of death. It's not here. I believe in life elsewhere. Meaning, Gazans not staying in Gaza. Not being anywhere near their mortal enemies. I think the closest would be 500 miles away. Go to Somalia. But my true proposal is disperse or be dispersed by an international body to the 80 or so Muslim countries. Every majority Muslim country, that's at least 30, and a good number of minority Muslim countries, but they have a decent enough population for them to have comfort, get by in their faith, but be far away from Israel. That would include the United States for some, but it will be up to the governments of each country to accept them. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world. There are plenty. I mean, all of Palestine could fit on 3 or 4 uninhabited small islands of Indonesia and have much more room than they have right now on the Mediterranean and Gaza. It's doable. The reason that they can't stay is that the mild hope that some people have, and it's not a strong expectation, at best it's maybe we could do the equivalent of denazifying, which was a very successful effort by multinationals, mostly the U.S., and for about 16 years following World War II, the occupation of Germany really did root out almost all traces of fervent Nazism. Here's why it won't happen with Hamas. Number one, they're worse than Nazis. Their tactics are so uncivil that they can't possibly be turned. The semi-innocent people who've been supporting Hamas and hearing from Hamas, I think will look at every occupant as equally evil, and therefore there will be a lot of injuries and deaths to those who try to police this effort. Number two, they're worse than Nazis because Nazis knew that what they were doing was wrong. They covered up evidence of the crematoriums when the Russian soldiers were on the march about to liberate most of East Germany. Their guilt was present. Palestinians don't feel guilt. Not the militant ones, anyway. So where do they go? Probably no country takes them. A good number ought to be tried anyway. But the ones that have a close association but not crime on their hands, just the thought that they're not going to get rid of about hatred, probably deserve to be on one of those Indonesian islands or somewhere far from everybody else. For the rest of the Gazans, integrate, but not all 2 million in one place, okay? 100,000 in any one country at maximum puts them in 20 different places or more. That removes much of the threat. And who would occupy Gaza? I think an Arab nation that is westernized enough, prosperous, and does very well for its Arab inhabitants. The UAE. This is the home of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, two of the most, maybe the epitome of Western success that accommodates burqas, accommodates prayer on Fridays, likes its Muslim population, and will probably in Gaza set up something very similar. Okay? So the U.S. then is not taking over territory, doing very little to marshal, and a few Gazans might remain. I mean, the ones that are most hopefully already turned, haven't done any bad deeds, and can pledge goodness to their neighbors. Is it fair that after heinous attacks and the non-surrender and non-turning of sentiments means you're going to get resettled elsewhere? I'd leave that to another video. But I know that people will contend, well, Israel has settlements, and they're in the other part of Palestine, the West Bank. They do, but they're peaceful. Israeli settlers do not harm those around them, and there's plenty of room for all. By the way, if you want to talk the epitome of not wanting to harm in your settlements, Gaza itself is the anti-settlement. Israel, which occupied Gaza, pulled its own people out to make an open, 100% non-Israeli population. They did that in 2006. They made their own long-standing property owners, synagogue goers in Gaza, pull out their roots for the sake of uplifting those natives. Didn't work. So it's time that those natives and their descendants move on, literally move out, and maybe move on to a better life influenced by better people. And Western civilization right now has better people than the leaders of Hamas and the heads of Sharia law societies. I'm Mark Stewart.